our special speaker today is Reverend Dr. Linda Repond. And what I have for her is I'm about empowering and supporting children, youth, and young adults. As a minister, I have been blessed with the opportunity to work with some of the most brilliant, conscious, and talented young people on the planet. Now I have launched into a new ministry to support emerging young adults as they launch in life. The launching pad has been in September 2010 in Berkeley, California. Oh, she's a Berkeley girl. All right. And it is my bliss to be the founding minister and a co-creator of the amazing spiritual community with a powerful group of young adults called the Launching Pad. And she said she was head of the youth ministry for ICSL, which UCSL, okay, that's before we got back together. And she said to tell everybody she is the female Keith Cox. It's my pleasure to introduce to you Reverend Dr. Linda Repond.
Thank you. Hi. I'm happy to be here. I think I'm better looking than Keith. At the least. Could be. Well, happy Mother's Day. If you are a mother or have mothered someone, well, even if you're a male, mothering happens in a lot of forms. Why don't you stand up and let us just celebrate you for a minute? Any form of mothering, if you've done that. And if you had a mother, oh no, you don't have to stand up. Then it would be really embarrassing for the ones that didn't have a mother. So I do want to say that on this day, we celebrate mothers, and it's, for some people, the hardest day of the year. So I just want to acknowledge, too, that there are people probably in this room who didn't have such a great experience of a mother, or who maybe desperately wanted to be a mother and it didn't happen, or maybe have lost a child or a mother, making this a really hard day. So I just want to acknowledge you as well. A lot of them aren't even in this room because coming to church is too hard on that day when we just celebrate moms. So let's just allow, if you're one of those people, let's allow this day to just soften that place in your heart that still feels tender, and allow love to just keep washing over. Healing is happening. I'm probably the best person imaginable to speak to you today because, as you can see up here, my nickname at the launching pad is Mama Bear. So I got a big mothering style. Just a little bit about what the launching pad is. There are 4 launching pads now. The first one is in Berkeley. My husband and I still live there. Thank you. So yes, I'm crazy enough to live in a house with a bunch of young adults, and my ministry is right there, 24/7. My Mother's Day present is for my husband is to come stay in a bed and breakfast here by myself. That's what Mother's Day looks like to me. And it is an amazing, amazing community. It is an amazing ministry. I think you know young people who have grown up in this teaching, some that have found it as young adults. They're really clear about who they are and what they're here to do and be, and I'm here to support that, like 1,000%. I also want to say, just before I launch in here, that I'm also a member of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. So our services at the launching pad are on Friday night, so Sunday morning, you'll always find my husband at Oakland CSL. And if I'm in town, I'll be there. And we are just today at Oakland voting on a new minister after a very long period of searching and going through the process that you as a community are in right now. And I have so much respect for those of you who are really coming together to hold this place as you journey through that process. I know that it is hard. And it's kind of like not having a mother on Mother's Day. It's hard to not have that person behind you or to even know what's next. But I specifically want to honor the people who are on the search committee, your board of directors, your practitioners, the people who are the body that are continuing to be the container. And I know you're calling in an amazing minister. Yes, let's, indeed. So my talk today is about the great work. Thomas Berry, who's one of the great theologians of our time, this is a book. This is the book that the title came from. It's called The Great Work. When people introduce him as an esteemed theologian, he goes, I don't want to be a theologian, I'm an ecologian. Because he's really clear that the great work of our time is the very survival and continuation of us as a planet. And that without that, anything else we're doing on any front makes no difference because we won't be here to experience it. And so he really tells a story that I think is a very deep story, and it seems to me that on Mother's Day to really talk about the Mother Earth, that Gaia planet that is the mother of us all. We're literally made from the elements that come from the earth. This is a good day to talk about that mother. Thomas Berry tells the story about when he was a little kid. He used to walk down to this field that was near his house, and he'd sit on one side of the stream, and he'd look at, there's a stream in front of him, and there's like this rolling hillside on the other side, and it was the most beautiful place in the world. And somehow there was a field of lilies growing there. And lilies are one of my favorite flowers because especially the lilies that smell, when that smell opens, some of them are night blooming, and he would go down there at the end of the day and just sit on that bank, and the smell of the lilies would just like transport him. And that's actually what led him into the life's work that is his. And he sat there and took that in, and in a very profound way, even years later, he can say that his personal cosmology came out of that experience. Because on some very profound level, he could see that anything that supported, enhanced, and took care of this was good. And anything that damaged, diminished, erased, eradicated this was bad. And that's his cosmology. Like this piece of earth, this sacred, beautiful thing, whatever supports it, I support. Whatever demolishes it in any way or diminishes it in any way, I don't support. And I think that is the connection I have to what this great work is about, is really, in addition to that, really holding as a sacred task, caring for this earth itself. Once we have an earth, the consciousness that supports it continuing has to come from us. It has to come from the generation that is going to take it on and make sure that it continues and that it evolves. And that's where my great passion in life landed. There was a moment in my life some years ago when I could see that all this that I've given my whole life to, really, in this shift of consciousness in the planet. And there was a moment when I realized this is not going to happen in my lifetime. This work is not going to get done. The tipping point is, we're I believe, edging towards a tipping point, and I'm not sure it's tipped. And at that moment, I realized all of my attention needs to go to the next generation. They're the ones who are going to take this into what's next. Therefore, the launching pad. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. I had an experience that really, not long ago, see if I've caught up with myself here. Nope, I didn't. There we are. In Zion National Park, the second launching pad is in St. George, Utah. So I was there a few weeks ago. And I was taken to this birthing cave that's literally thousands of years old. And this is a picture of it. I don't know if that's suggestive to you, but you talk about a womb, that kind of does it for me. You're walking up there, and literally this has been a cave where people have birthed babies. And the walls of the cave have pictographs and etchings on them that go back thousands of years, and they're actually layered, and they can say, most recently it's Anasazi land. And inside the cave, there's actually sort of a fallopian tube that goes way back into the land. And I was in there, and I was just mama bear, held in this sense of giving birth. And I just went and planted myself like right smack in front of the cave and opened my legs. I'm like, let's do it. And I meditated just like that. And the thing that I experienced really, and the other picture is where I sat looking out. That's what it looked. That's the opening looking the other direction. And the experience I had for me was very profound. I could feel myself birthing my work in the world. We all have our work in the world, and so I really want to invite you to think about what you're birthing in your lifetime. I'm birthing this work. And sometimes, particularly at that time when I was there, felt incredibly challenging, incredibly difficult. Like, I don't always see how it's going to happen. It's not a well-funded program. They're young adults. It's not, there's not a lot of infrastructure, because as soon as you get a practitioner trained, they go off and start living their life, which is, I guess, the point of what I'm doing. So but they don't stick around to, help me teach classes and stuff like people you expect them to. They don't. They go live their lives. So in that hard place, I could see, like, it's almost like I stepped back a few steps, and I saw from a perspective that my job here is to birth this, and to birth it well. And that what happens from here, and I could literally feel it on the other side, that there are hands from the future reaching out to carry it forward. That it's handled out there. My only job is to do this right here, and to do it well. And after I sat there for a while, I realized, because I am a mother, I've got 2 children, birthing is messy business. That's part of it. Like, yeah, we're in this to birth what's next, all of us, to birth what's next for us, may be messy. And our only job is to be here in it right now. And that's my connection to what Thomas Berry's talking about the planet, because I just feel that relationship between the mother, this ground, underneath this building, this ground, this earth, and us, we are inextricably bound to each other. We are connected. This is what Ernest says. The furtherance of evolution depends on our ability to sense a unity with nature and its forces. When the knowledge of this unity comes alike to all, the tread of armies will cease, and the bugle call will echo the soft notes of brotherly love. When we can really connect our unity to this essence of the mother, we've moved past the story that is actually where we're in struggle with damaging the earth now. This is I love this metaphor of the mother, the great mother, because you think about it, she supplies us on every level, generously, constantly. Our food, we build our houses out of the bricks or the wood or the things that come from the earth. And she continues to give to us, even though the oil that she's giving us, we're turning around and using to damage and destroy her. There's a generosity about the nature of the mother that, even knowing that what we're doing is harmful, she continues to give, because we're left with the choice about what to do. We can talk about how we got to where we are right now, and the forces of greed, and let's not start, because it doesn't lead down a path that's going to get us where we want to go. It's just, we got here, and maybe we didn't personally get here. Maybe we personally have been, on a path of caring for the earth our whole life, but those other people did. Well, guess what? We're one, so they're part of us too. So, but that doesn't matter. We're here now, experiencing this life. And this earth that's so generously giving to us, we're bound to. The other thing I want to say about the earth is that she is just. It's no respecter of persons is what I would call that level of just. Because when an earthquake hits, rich people, poor people, castles, trailer parks, Everybody gets it. When what just happened in Nepal, although it's a country that is incredibly poor, and the massive destruction that's happened there, and the difficulty of working to get resources to them, that's the poor end. At the other end, very wealthy people were on Mount Everest, who also were killed in the same process. So the earth is no respecter of persons. The rain falls on the just and the unjust, as the Bible says, because it's like the law. You know how we teach this in Science of Mind? The law is the law is the law, and it doesn't matter. It's automatic. It just says yes. Whatever we put into it, it says yes. That's the experience of the earth. It's like the law. It's like that middle layer of the teaching symbol. It automatically just continues to give, to be present. And perhaps you've had this experience, but it is also an experience of love. Sometimes there's a place that I go walking almost every day, and they're beautiful trees, and they hang over the path, and these beautiful live oak trees. And sometimes I just stand under it, and I feel God. I feel the presence of God coming. It's almost like the tree is there to bless me, and I just stand there and let it in, because they actually give us breath. Trees are giving us the breath that we breathe. They're taking our CO2, turning it back into oxygen, nitrogen, so we can continue to live. So I do feel like the earth is, in a very real form, loving us. I suspect there's some people that you'd like to see in these empty seats today who are actually out there having church all by themselves in nature somewhere. And I think we can learn from that connection to nature. I'm not suggesting that you don't come next week. But maybe between now and next week, like even today, just take a minute to just stand outside. You live in perhaps the most beautiful place ever. I understand this is the most perfect climate in the world. Is that true? Pretty much. That's what they say. To look at this amazing sky, the flowers that bloom year-round. The place that I'm staying has gardenias. In that meditation, I was smelling those gardenias. They grow here. So give yourself that gift to just go be in it and feel the God that is in that. This is the feminine of God. This is the juicy, thickened, moist, loving, feminine side of God. It's right out there in nature. It's everywhere. So without skipping church next week, give yourself that opportunity to just feel what God looks like and feels like. Our work is that. Our work is to unify ourselves with all that is. And all that is each other, for certainly. We are one. It is also with the planet itself, with the love, the presence, the godness that is. I knew I was going to forget some of these. One of my young adults created these fabulous pictures to go with what I was saying. I'd have to remember to show them to you. This is our work, to unify ourselves with this, to allow ourselves to be loved by the earth. It's one thing to love it and to appreciate it and to do the work to conserve resources, to take shorter showers, all the things that we're now talking about in California. And it's another thing to allow the love in, to just let yourself be blessed by the mother. Such a sweet feeling. That's our job. That's our job. And it's reciprocal. Thomas Berry, this guy I'm talking about here, says, we ourselves activate one of the deepest dimensions of the universe. We are neither an addendum or an intrusion into the universe. We are quintessentially integral with the universe. God exists in form as us. That means we're God. I know, if you come from a religion that finds that blasphemous, you might want to go to the church down the street, because we talk about that here. That we ourselves are embodiments of the Most High God. can only extend itself in time and space using our hands, our voice, our feet. That's God in action has to happen through us. And that's holy work. You just really allow that in. All that God is, all the freedom, all the grace, all the wholeness, all the beauty that God is right here, in and as me, in and as you, in each of us. It is God extending itself as us. That pretty much defines what we're here for, don't you think? I want to tell you about my friend Allison and her mother Rosemary, two people that were very dear to me in my life. And Rosemary was, in her time, a fabulous entertainer. She would throw parties. Her husband had been a statesman. They actually lived all over the world doing as an ambassador, and so she knew how to do fabulous connections with people, and for a time was one of the foremost students of crop circles in the world. But as she got older and got more frail, her world started shrinking a bit. And her daughter Allison, who was a very powerful CEO, would actually step down as the CEO of Patagonia to come home, buy a house next door to her mother, and be with her in that time. And so as this, two lovely houses next door to each other, and the really deeply worn path between the back doors, and Allison would be there, and really the more frail that Rosemary got, the more attention she required, the more frustrated she got. Life just got hard because she wanted things she couldn't do anymore. She wanted to see things and do things that she couldn't do for herself. And so she would get crabby, and and a lot of it I think got taken out on Allison because she was the nearest target that was there. Some of you who are in caretaker roles know what that's like. It's this lovely person, and there's this just crabbiness that goes with life. And I watched this, and I watched just the incredible devotion that Allison had for her mother, and totally deserved. She was a fabulous mother, and in this moment, it was just plain hard. And then things began to erode even further, and something in the final days of her life just kind of slipped away, and it all became grace. And all of the crabbiness ebbed away. And over, when Allison would come in, and Rosemary would just look at her with just like pure love, and she'd reach up and she'd like touch her face and say, "Do you have any idea how much I love you?" And then later on, she would call, and she'd call on the phone, because that was kind of their walkie-talkie between their houses. She'd call Allison's cell phone, and Allison would be busy. And "Do you have any idea how much I love you?" So they continued to walk down that path, and it was actually on Christmas when all of her children and some of her grandchildren were present. They had a fabulous meal, and Rosemary decided that was the moment to leave, and so she left her body that night. And it was actually a few days later that, in the way that our cell phones have of like sending things out into the ethers and then they show up, here's this message on her phone. Allison, "It's Mom." She picks up the phone, and it's a message that had been sent a few days before. And guess what it said? "Do you have any idea how much I love you?" That's when to hit the save button on. 'Cause for me, that is the message that the earth is saying to us, that God itself is saying to us all the time. Can you feel that? Just close your eyes for a minute. And imagine that which moves worlds, the power of the universe, the Mother Earth itself, is saying to you right now, "Do you have any idea how much I love you?" Do you have any idea how much I love you? Let it in. Just avow the love that didn't come from a human source. It didn't come from a mother or a lover or a child. It came from God itself. Let it in. With your eyes still closed, let's just move into a place of prayer. Opening into that space that knows itself to be pure love. All the joy, all the love, all the grace, all the freedom, all the abundance, all that God is. All that God is right here, right now. It is in this very room. And it is the very essence of my life, of the life of each of us. We are each that. All that God is, we are. All that God is, we are. And so simply opening our hearts, our very beings, we allow that to inform our lives, our daily experience, our experience this day and the next and the next. For as God informed, I claim, I know, that every person I encounter is God also, and an opportunity to see and know that God in myself and in them. That in every place that I go, in everything that I do, in every way that I touch the earth, that I am allowing that love that I am to return back to bless this beautiful place that we call home. I am so, so clear that this is done. That in each life here, the space of spirit has opened, and there is a sweet nectar of the divine that we can smell, that we can taste, that we can experience as life itself. I give thanks. I give thanks for the opportunity to live and breathe this life, this goodness, this sweetness that is God itself. I am so grateful. I'm grateful for this sacred community, for all that God is that is showing up here as love. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Blessings. Thank you.